Joe Rogan has some advice for people who like video games. Stop playing them and go do something useful.
And video games are a real problem. They're a real problem. You know why? Because they're fun.
Addictive.
And you don't. Yeah. Well, I have a real problem with them. And you do them, and they're real exciting, but you don't get anywhere.
Right.
It's like you could do like martial arts, right? You could learn jujitsu. You get obsessed by jujitsu, and then 3 years later, you're like an elite jujitsu athlete. You're entering in competitions. You're a purple belt.
You're moving up.
Yeah, you're doing well. Right. You're thinking like, I might be able to open my own school one day.
You got confidence.
Yeah, if I have 100 students and those 100 students are paying me X amount of dollars per month, I can make a living. Holy, I can have this would be amazing. And then you see your jujitsu school, and your jujitsu instructor has all these students and drives a Mercedes, and he's got a nice family, and like, that's the future. This way you're doing something exciting and fun, and you don't. Or you could just be playing video games. 3 years later, you could be that same kid just playing video games, waiting for the next whatever the game is, next Xbox game to come out, and you're gonna waste your time.
Okay, boomer. No, I'm telling you that's probably the biggest boomer take I've ever seen. I mean, look, obviously, I got a lot to say about this because I am a gamer, and then just addressing the last part, where it's like, you can just what a waste of time. It's my time to waste. Get off my nuts. All right. So look, here's the thing, right? Games are fun. Games are exciting. He admits that, right? And he's like, yeah, I got a problem with games. They're fun and exciting, but then, of course, they're nothing useful, right? And so there's that contradiction. I mean, they're fun and exciting, but you should probably do something like MMA, which is fun and exciting, instead of playing video games. Well, look, I got nothing wrong with people doing MMA, right? And for me, look, I'm a gamer. I play video games. They're, to me, are fairly mindless entertainment. I mean, not entirely mindless. There's some strategy. There's tactics. There's team building. For example, PUBG. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, right? Like, yeah, you build a team and you do strategy and you strategize on how to try to win. Now, I suck at it. I get owned at PUBG all the time. Nonetheless, right? It's still fun. And so, like any hobby or any activity, you're going to get out what you put in, right? So now, look, if Rogan wants to make the point like, oh, MMA, it's exercise, discipline, it's good for your body. Wonderful. You're absolutely right. Those would be fantastic points, right? You didn't make that point. You're like, well, I mean, you could become a jiu-jitsu master in 3 years. No, there's no guarantee that you'll be a jiu-jitsu master. You could be doing it for 3 years and still be good or decent, but not great. Definitely not a master. Probably not somebody who's going to open up their own school, right? So what he's talking about is like a 1 in a million thing. Or maybe 1 in 1,000, something like that, right? Okay. Hey, great. Yes, that can happen for some people, but for most people, that's not going to happen. And look, some people are not going to be interested in martial arts either. Maybe they just rather sit down and play a video game. Just saying. So now the other thing with Rogan's argument, right, is talking about like the illusion, I guess, to getting addicted to video games. Now, I know when people say that, it's like, oh, come on, man, you get addicted to video games? Well, now think about it. I mean, you can basically become, and I actually really hate using the word addicted because it has a certain connotation like, oh, if you stop doing it, you're going to have all these negative things that happen to you, like withdrawals or anything like that. No, that's not the case here, right? So when he says addicted, it seems like a pretty bad misnomer, right? And so I don't like it, right? But generally, if you're saying, hey, you're getting too involved in something like a hobby that to the detriment of the rest of your life, okay, well, that's a problem. Like you can get too involved in trading cards, Magic the Gathering, spend loads of money on Yu-Gi-Oh cards, whatever, right? And you could do that at the detriment of other things. Or you could be like a rich person and hoard wealth to the detriment of society. The thing is, any hobby or anything can become a problem if you don't take it in balance, right? there's look, there's nothing wrong with working and playing some video games in your free time, doing a little bit of exercise. Maybe you want to take a jujitsu class or a martial arts class, on the side. Whatever, good balance. Everything is about balance in your life. So now I think that Rogan kind of told on himself a little bit, right? So he said, "Look, they're fun, they're exciting, but they're a problem." Right? Maybe he's saying they're a problem for me because I get addicted to it. Well, maybe he's got an addictive personality. Somebody who dives right into a hobby, goes into it full force, and then does suffer maybe some negative effects. If there are negative effects associated with it, with gaming, of course, it's you know not getting a lot of exercise, maybe not spending enough time with your significant others, so your physical relationships may suffer. So there are, of course, negative impacts to that. There's also positive impacts, right? Again, team building, that's a good thing. Socializing, yes, you can socialize online. I know it's a weird concept for some people, but you do. And then there's also, of course, helping things like reaction time, spatial acuity, all that stuff, right? And so, like I said, you've got to just have things in balance. So now I do know somebody who describes himself as having an addictive personality as well. It's Kyle Kalinske. So, we've had conversations and we've talked about this. And he said, "Look, I'm addicted to covering news and politics. Like, it's part of my daily routine. I go in, and the first thing I do when I get up is I check the news. What's going on?" And so that's actually a benefit to him when it comes to a show. He's massively successful on YouTube, and a great debater, a smart guy. I don't agree 100% with him, of course, but on everything, but generally a pretty smart guy, right? And so he's very dedicated to his craft. I think that possibly a negative impact of that could be like you spend all your time online. I mean, Hassan Piker streams 10 hours a day, and he always talks about burnout. I'm exhausted and I'm addicted to streaming. And so there are the negative impacts that you have in your life, lack of exercise, feeling burnt out all the time, mental fatigue, talking about this stuff. And so I totally understand. And again, it's they could be doing much, much worse things for sure. But just generally try to keep things in balance, a good balance of things. And so anyway, now Rogan, again, made a pretty bad example here, right? And I addressed this earlier. Oh boy, you could be a very successful person if you do MMA. So you're ignoring people who stream on Twitch? Again, the aforementioned example, Hassan Piker, very successful on Twitch. And you have people, gamers on Twitch they do make him a lot of money. And of course, he addresses that later on. So, I mean, did you just defeat your own example? There are streamers, but see, the same thing is, I'm not saying that everybody who plays video games online is a streamer could be a successful streamer as well. Just like the same example of the MMA person going and learning jiu-jitsu for 3 years, opening up his own school. That doesn't happen for everybody. And you know what? Sometimes people just want to sit down and play a goddamn video game to relieve some stress or to do some escapism or just because they find it fun. So if MMA is fun, do it. If streaming Twitch is fun, then do it. All I'm saying is healthy balance. And please, for the love of God, stop shitting on other people's hobbies, on the things they find fun, just because you're not into it. Okay? The gaming community deals with enough toxic bullshit from within. It doesn't need any more antagonism from the outside. Okay? All we want to do, a lot of us gamers, is we want to hang out with our friends online, coronavirus and all. We want to get away from the world for a little while, right? Play with some friends and just have a good time and just enjoy a medium that does tell engaging and fun stories. Just let people enjoy things, Joe. That's all I'm asking. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.